All right, let's rock.
Cool.
All right, let's rock.
Cool.
All right. What's going on, everybody? You know what time it is. It is Friday at 2:00. So, of course, we are here on YouTube, Conversations with Rashon. I'm super excited. This week, we are going to be breaking down student loan debt. But listen, got to run through a couple of things really quick before we go into what we're going to talk about today. First, if you have not checked out our blog on student loan debt, go to experiencesean.com/blog and check that out after we log off today with Conversations with Rashon. And then also, I got a little something for you guys. We need to make sure that we are plugged in on Wednesdays at 6:30 watching Connected Cooking. So check this out really quick. What's up, everybody? Today on Connected Cooking,
I can do that.
That's all. Mostly garlic.
Right here you have basil.
Nice, awesome.
And it's really good to smell.
Decade. Like a decade-ish. And so I sometimes...
Stay connected with Rashon. So for financial sustainability. So listen, guys, in the meantime, keep your head up, believe in yourself. All right, so if you haven't checked it out yet, first of all, again, thank you for those who are watching, who are viewing. Thank you. If you like what you see, what you're hearing, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Got it in the background. You've seen a little bit of the green screen as I moved there. Got to get these lights working in the studio. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button for Conversations with Rashon, for Connected Cooking, Wednesdays at 6:30. Our 4th episode is airing this upcoming Wednesday. Super excited about it. But let's get to the conversation. I am here with my guy, Christian Smith. And man, let me tell you something. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. But I first met him at LaSalle. What's it been, like 5-6 years now?
Yeah.
Man, great dude. And let me tell you something. He is an inspiring guy who when he puts his mind to something, he's going to do it. And then when he sets a goal, he makes sure he accomplishes that goal. But anyway, enough about, me telling you about him. I'm going to let him tell y'all about him. Tell the world about you, Christian.
So I'm Christian. So I'm currently a graduate student at Temple University. Get my professional science master's in geographic information systems, which is simply just GIS. But it's like, it's a combination of a multitude of things, from like map making, choreographic design, database management using SQL and stuff like that. In addition to like application development and advanced statistics. And I'm currently a graduate fellow at the Economy League of Greater Philadelphia. That organization itself is a nonprofit research consultant agent or organization. They specialize in a number of different issues, ranging from criminal justice all the way to like adult education, workforce development stuff. So I've been there since last year, and I'm like learning about a lot of stuff there, fine-tuning my craft, doing research. That's what I ultimately plan on doing, but mainly focusing on criminal justice issues.
That's great. That's awesome, man. So what do you what industry are you looking when you're done? Are you looking to stay with that company that you're currently doing your internship with? What are your future plans?
Hopefully, yeah, after I graduate, I mean, two prime locations for me would be like either in DC or New York, two agencies. Either in New York, it would be Vera Institute of Justice, or in DC, Urban Institute. The reason for those organizations, they have like specialty think tanks there that just like mainly focus on criminal justice issues. And in addition to the other benefits that they have, because I ultimately want to get my PhD as well in criminal justice.
Awesome.
And those two locations, they have institutions there that cater to working professionals. So, and ultimately it will be free since they will be funding it.
Oh, see, there you go. There's that word right there, right? Because we have our bachelor,
Yeah.
talking about school loan debt. We're about to graduate with our master, so we're talking about school loan debt, and we're talking about a PhD. But then the magic word came out. I was like, yeah, I'm going to join an organization where my PhD is paid for, because we're already in enough school loan debt, right?
Yes.
So that's a good segue. Typically, like I like to do, and Chris, I want to thank you first of all for always engaging on social media and being a part of the conversation. And even though I know you personally, I know when we talked about, when I put that question up earlier this week, about school loan debt, you came to me, you said, Rashon, tell me a little bit about this. So tell me what question you asked me. So, because I know that same question you asked me, so many people have that same question. And then let's break it down.
Yeah, so the question was essentially, I'm like, I have combined with my undergraduate amount, after I finish my master's, I'll have a total of $95,000 in student loan debt. So 29,000 of that was from my education at LaSalle, and then the other 65 is going to be from Temple. So it's a number of loans that are separate, and they have all different interest rates, and they're all from the U.S. Department of Education. I didn't take out any private loans, but mainly I just want to know, is consolidating those loans into one loan, is that a good thing? Because I know they have they'll use like a weighted average, and then you'll maybe get a higher interest rate, or maybe it may be the same. I don't know. So that's my main question. Is that a good option for me to come out and do?
And that's an excellent question. So I'm going to answer that for you, Chris, and I'm going to answer that. First, I'm going to answer that generally, and then I'll answer it for you specifically. Okay. So listen, guys, I'm talking to you out there in the world now. So there's a couple of things that Chris talked about. Okay. He has loans from his undergrad, and then he has loans from his graduate level, what he's doing on the graduate level. But the thing that I didn't ask him, and I will ask him shortly, is, are they federal? Or are they private? Or are they a mix of both? Because his question is, should I consolidate my loan? So the first thing you need to look at when thinking of consolidating your school loan debt is, what type of school loan debt do you have? Some of us may just have federal, some of us may just have private, or some of us may have a mix of both. What I will tell you is, you never want to take your federal loans and move them into a private loan consolidation, because you will lose great flexibility. Private school loans has more flexibility than any other type of school loan that you can have. Okay. So federal school loans have more flexibility than any other type of school loans that you can have. So moving federal school loans over to private school loans, you're actually taking some options, repayment options, consolidation options, low interest options away from yourself by moving to a private company. But if you have a multitude of private school loans, like Chris said, now his may be federal or private. We'll get there in a second, right? But if you have a multitude of private school loans that are all different interest rates, then it does behoove you to look into consolidating those private loans into one to get you a more competitive interest rate. Now, Chris, are those loans federal loans, private loans, or a mix of both?
So they're all federal. Like the thing, yeah. So they're just all federal loans, unsubsidized and subsidized.
So that's awesome. So you are in great shape when it comes to that. So when it comes to consolidating federal loans, the first thing I'm going to say to you guys is, yes, it is possible and you can do it, but make sure you do it again with the federal loan lender, right? So you can actually go to the studentfinancialaid.gov. Okay. And when you go to student loan repayment options at the bottom, And they actually show you where your consolidation options and who you can call to consolidate your federal student loans. Now, you made a great point. Okay. And I want to make sure that I reiterate the point that you made, Chris. You talked about the fact that they're all different interest rates. And if you consolidate them, will they give you a flat interest rate or a higher interest rate or a lower interest rate? So the first thing that you want to make sure that you are before trying to consolidate anything, whether it be private school loans or federal school loans, is to ensure that you have your credit in place. And so if you don't have great credit, then unfortunately, you probably want to just stand pat, right? You just want to just stay right where you are, right? And so, but if you do have good credit, and what is good credit? What I would say is, if you're looking to consolidate school loans, whether on a private level or the federal level, 640 or higher is good enough to get the job done of what you're looking to get done. Right? If you have less than a 640, then you want to do a couple of things. One, when you're done listening to Conversations with Rashon on this, go back and watch the credit episode of Conversations with Rashon, and then watch Connected Cooking episode 1, which talks about credit, and then watch Tuesday Tips, which talks about credit, and then email me so we can connect you with a credit expert to get your credit up, right? But after you do that, and you now are in position to consolidate, you want to make sure that you keep an apples with apples and oranges with oranges. So the most important thing that I can teach you today is that you don't want to mix private with federal and vice versa, right? You want to leave apples in an apple bag, Chris, and you want to leave the oranges in the oranges bag. So can you consolidate? Should you consolidate? Yes, you can. Should you? Well, let's talk about that. Let's just assume you have 5 federal loans, okay? They all have different interest rates. The first thing you want to do is write them down based off of the interest rate, the lowest interest rate to the highest interest rate. Okay. Yeah. And then if you don't have the statements in front of you, get on the phone, with the school loan department and find out what they request as your minimum payment and how long that's going to be. So for instance, I'll give you an example for me. I have 5 federal school loans. I think they round about 70,000 per. And when I called to ask what's the minimum amount that I have to pay, some had, $65 over 10 years. Some was $112 over 10 years. Some was, $130 over 10 years. Write that down. Write that down in a little spreadsheet or on a little pad. Here's why. Because when you're trying to decipher whether to consolidate or not, and you have that information for your current loans, now it's time to go do the research for the consolidated loans, right? So what did I get approved for? How much are you willing to consolidate? Will you consolidate all of them, most of them, or some of them? What is the interest rate you're going to give me? And then what's my monthly payment going to be and for how long? Once you get those answers, you now can compare that to your current situation. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Good. So now you have those 2 comparisons to look at. So let's go with my example. I have 5 loans at $70,000. The biggest loan is, let's just say $25,000. It's $115 a month, and it has a 7% interest rate. They're telling me they'll consolidate all of my loans, all 70,000, at a 4% interest rate, and I'll pay a total of $180 a month over 10 years. Let's just say. If that's something that's offered to you, when you look and you calculate all of the payments for the 5 loans as is, and it's less than what they're offering you for the same amount of time payback period, then the answer is do it. The answer is absolutely do it, right? So that's what you want to make sure, you want to make sure you just do a little bit of homework before you make that decision. So what do you do first, guys? I'm going to bring it back for you, okay? 1, collect the data on your current loans. The balance, the interest rate, the repayment period, and the actual payment, minimum payment that must be made, okay? Once you've done that, write that down, put that on the left side of a piece of paper. Then you do your research, and the research is easy. All you have to do is go to the federalstudentloan.gov website, if this is for your federal loans, by the way, guys. and they have a phone number and an email right there once you plug into loan repayment options. And you can call and you can ask them, what are consolidation options that are available for you? They'll pull your information up, they'll pull your profile up, and they'll let you know. You don't make a decision on that phone call. You take the information, you write it down, you hang up, you evaluate the information, then you make an educated decision based on what the numbers tell you. If the consolidation options give you a less payment and same repayment time than your current situation, then the answer is yes, consolidate. If it doesn't, then the answer is no, pay as is. The great thing is, for me, most of my loans is with Navient. Actually, all of my federal loans is with Navient. So I do have consolidation options, but I also have the option to just lump all my payments into one without consolidating. So I still have 5 separate loans, and but I'm getting one statement and I'm getting one bill. Very similar to if you have a family plan on your cell phone, right? You get one bill, but they break it down per payment, right? So, those are options that you have as well. But what I want to leave you guys with is that federal student loan, federal student aid.gov website. Check that website out. And at the bottom left, it's federal student loan repayment options. You click that, and that's going to give you everything that you need to know. For instance, if you want to work in a nonprofit, or if you currently work in a nonprofit, there are repayment plans and forgiveness plans. You who are currently in school. Now, Chris wants to get these things paid and wants to get them done, right? Yeah. So for that, in that case, you find out what's the quickest way for me to pay and the lowest interest rate possible. So consolidating is definitely an option on the table for Chris because he wants to pay it off. But if you are just living check for check and you're trying to find a way to not pay your school loans, but also not have them go in default, there's a couple options. One is go back to school, because then your school loans will automatically go back into deferment, right? And we know what deferment is, right? We don't have to, we don't have to pay the loans as long as we're in school, but the interest is still accruing. Yeah. Or if you don't want to go back to school, you do have what they call forbearance options, which is similar to deferment. The only difference is in forbearance, you're not back in school, but you still aren't paying. You're willing but unable to pay, as they would say if you call them, right? And then they put you in a 3-month or a 6-month non-payment plan. And then in some cases, they have income-based payment plans where your minimum payment will be based on your income. And that sometimes helps us, sometimes it doesn't. I'll tell you, when I was 26, working at a bank, making pretty good money, the income-based payment plan didn't work for me. So I had to get other options. But so that's to answer your question around consolidation, Chris. What other questions do you have?
I mean, that was kind of the main one, because I'm like, that's was definitely eyeing that one. Other than that, I mean, it's mainly straightforward. If anything, I can't think of that right now as far as like other student loan options or questions.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's a major question that a lot of people have. And before we close, I'll finish by, I know we talked about the federal loan options today, right? But for those who have private school loans, the first thing I would say, like I said earlier, is you have to make sure you have A1 credit before trying to consolidate your private school loans. And you want to do that same process, right? The process doesn't change just because it's private school loans. Remember, you're just not co-mingling apples and oranges in the same fruit bowl, okay? But you still go by the same process if you have that question when it comes to your private school loans. Figure out all the loans, how much you owe, what the balance is on them, what the payment length is, how much the payment is, and then start to call companies like Discover, like Citizens Bank, like Capital One. Those are 3 companies that I would say I suggest to my clients always for private school loan consolidation. They have pretty competitive rates. They're pretty good, and they have officers that typically will walk you through and say, hey, this might look good, this might not. Here's some other suggestions. So if you are having issues with your private school loans and you're looking to consolidate, Citizens Bank, Capital One, Discover. Okay. For your federal school loans, go to federalstudentaid.gov and then click that school loan repayment options, and all of that stuff will be right there for you. But Chris, any motivating words you have for the people during this time before we leave off?
I mean, just stay motivated. I mean, stay down until you come up. Like, that's the main thing. I mean, the pandemic will pass. It's just a matter of time, essentially. I mean, just keep working, and then when it ends, or I don't know about that vaccine that they got, but I'm not getting it. They tripping. But yeah, after that, I mean, stuff goes kind of back to normal. I mean, should be in a better position.
That's great.
So,
That's great, guys. So Chris, again, I want to thank you so much for joining me this Friday today on Conversations with Rashon, breaking down school loan debt. But in the meantime, guys, keep your head up, believe in yourself, and remember, you too are only one opportunity away from accomplishing your wildest dreams. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.